Excuse
practice?
me?
Your message to the team, coach's message to the team at the field practice.
The message is every day improving. You know, are we where we want to be yet? No, not at all. But are we better than what we were after practice 2? Absolutely. And as long as we keep improving and understand the gradual process, by practice 15, by Austin P, then we'll be where we want to be. But again, for us, it's a matter of the physical conditioning and the mental conditioning that goes into getting through a practice at this tempo and this pace.
A bunch of quarterbacks right now. What are you seeing from each of the guys?
Taking control. Things are moving a little bit fast for them right now, but they're doing a good job. You know, they have a firm grasp of everything we've thrown at them. Right now, it's just a matter of executing. You know, making sure our ball location is in the right spot, making sure our decision-making process is accurate, and I'm happy where they are and how they're progressing.
Mike, from what we've seen, it seems like Justin and Nathan maybe splitting the first team run pretty equally. Is that what you guys are trying to do?
We're you know, whether we're creating an atmosphere of competition, or really it's not so much us, it's them creating that atmosphere of competition, and that's, you know, it's a quarterback battle, and they're both competing very hard, you know, and making progress. So yeah, right now we're still trying to figure that out.
How is Devin Young taken to playing the slot receiver?
Again, for all the guys, not just Devin Young, I think for the wide receiver group as a whole, the game is moving a little bit fast right now, and the encouraging thing is that there was improvement from practice number 2, and once we get used to being in game shape, I like to call it, and how fast we're moving offensively, then I anticipate all the guys will continue to improve at a drastic level.
How close are they to being in game shape?
We're getting there. We're getting there. I don't have an answer. I mean, that's a process. Is that going to happen in one winter? No. Not to play at the pace that we want to play at and with the effort level that we want to play at. But they're getting there. You know, the foundation they built in the winter with Coach Lawson, that's a great foundation. And now we're taking the next step.
What do you want to see out of the scrimmage Saturday?
I want to, you know, identifying who the playmakers are, identifying, just putting guys in situations to make plays, and seeing who steps up when the lights go on. Even today, it was good to see guys breaking tackles, guys making people miss. Those are the things that you don't get a feel for when you're practicing in just helmets or even in a thud situation. But when you go live tackling, like we did for the last segment of practice today, you know, now a 3-yard game becomes a 10-yard game when they got to bring them to the ground. So it's good to see who's going to have the ability to make a guy miss and break tackles.
Mike, how do you balance pushing those guys at the quarterback position without maybe overwhelming them as early in practice?
It's not hard. Our approach with the entire offense has been keep it simple, with the purpose of understanding what we want out of practice. And again, since our very first unit meeting, we stressed to these guys that, hey, it's not what we do, but how we do it. And we're going to play with great effort. We're going to play with great tempo. And we've really been slow in the installation process for that reason, because until they understand the expectation for practice, until they understand the expectation for playing, then we're not going to throw a lot of X's and O's at them. So the installation's been simple. For the quarterbacks, it hasn't been hard to master.
I'll say the installation's been simple, but everybody talks about the frenetic pace and sort of the controlled chaos. I mean, how do you blend that in terms of managing those guys while, you know, helping them still see the big picture?
They've done a good job of it. It hasn't been much of a challenge yet. I think it's a little more challenging for the other positions, but quarterbacks are used to the speed of the game mentally, and that's what it is for everybody. There's not a lot of time to process information in between plays, not a lot of time to process information once the ball snapped. And to be a good quarterback, you have to be able to do that. Those guys were obviously very successful at the high school level. I think they have a natural inclination towards that, and will continue to grow in that ability.
You guys kind of want that frenzied practice pace to be tougher than what they actually see.
We call it controlled chaos. You know, going into adverse situations, going into hostile environments, we want to make sure that they're prepared, again, mentally and physically. From, you know, it's hard to hear in here. It's just the acoustics of the room. So emphasizing the little things like their voice and communication, not just the quarterbacks, but all the positions. and making sure that we create as much of an adverse environment as possible.
Coach, yesterday you got to speak with some EFL guys. Let's talk about that. Why those things are important.
It's critical. It's critical for me on a personal level because I understand the tradition that exists here. But to see it and have it tangible sitting in front of me, that helps me understand it that much better. To hear the stories that those guys tell about their playing days and where they were in the dormitories and where they ate their training table. And then for our players to see that and hear that like they did on Saturday with all the BFL guys coming back and the former greats, to understand that when they throw on the shoulder pads and the helmet, that they're not just representing the name on the front of their jersey and the back of their jersey, they're representing all those great players that played before. That's important for our guys to understand that.
Mike, Coach Z used a lot of young guys, a lot of some younger players, some adversity in the position. What do you see kind of his coaching style the last couple of days? Seems like he's pretty intense and pretty energetic. And is that maybe how you have to be with a group of young guys like that?
I think it's what you have to be in this offense, okay? And I think it helps. We need those guys to grow up quickly. You know, that's the reality of it. And so there needs to be a sense of urgency, and there is. And you can tell by his coaching style. He does a great job at developing young receivers. And he's bringing those guys along at the pace that they need to be brought along at.
Coach, I think everybody I've talked to, one of the first things they've said about you, other coaches on staff or wherever, is your attention to detail. I mean, are you that detail-oriented in every aspect of your life? I mean, Coach Jones said you scored the best on identifying the players without their names being listed or whatever.
Sure, it's I don't know. Ask my wife; she might be able to tell you a little better than I could. That's an important part of what we do. The details. Coach Jones. It starts with Coach Jones. He's the one that stresses that. And in terms of name recognition, I work hard at that. Why? We preach a family environment, and if you don't know your players' names, well, that's a good indication that you don't have that environment. And frankly, to be honest, I'm not very good at it. So I keep asking them and asking them and asking them, and I find that the result is they don't get insulted. They appreciate the fact that you make the extra effort to learn their names. But getting to know your teammates, getting to know everybody involved in the program, that's an important part of what we do. And for sure, I'm going to pay attention to those details because, like I said, the X's and O's are secondary. It comes down to playing with great effort and playing for one another. And when you create an environment, a family environment, it encourages an atmosphere where guys are going to play for one another.
Coach Jansen said that your attention to detail makes the defensive coaches better. I mean, do you had other defensive coaches you've worked with say that in the past? And is that just the way you see the game?
I think so. It's always about the details. You referred to Coach Z earlier and the pace at which he coaches and the detail with which he coaches. That's what we're looking for. This is a great staff. I love working with these guys. From a personality standpoint, from an attention to detail standpoint, we're very much on the same page. So when you have that familiarity with guys, you can be that much more detailed. If we were coming together for the first time, you put the nuts and bolts in, and over time, you start to coach the details. And when you've been together as long as we have, you're able to pay attention to details a little bit more.
And is that focus so needed because the margin for error is so slim?
Yes, it's a game of inches. That's what Coach Jones talks about. It's a game of inches, and details make the inches, and inches make the champions. So, we've been in games where we've won or lost because of 1 inch, and we're going to coach that inch.
When you have that kind of experience on the offensive line, does that allow you to do more up front? Just blocking schemes and different things?